You won't believe what happened when royalty walked into Judge Caprio's courtroom thinking they were above the law. What started as a routine traffic violation turned into the most epic judicial showdown you've ever seen, and the judge's comeback was so brilliant it left everyone in stunned silence. Stick around because this story gets absolutely wild. Picture this. It's just another Tuesday morning in Providence Municipal Court when suddenly the courtroom doors swing open and in walks someone who clearly thinks they own the place. We're talking about someone with royal blood flowing through their veins, accompanied by an entourage that would make the Queen of England jealous. The air in the room immediately shifts as this heir to a throne struts in like they're attending a state dinner rather than facing a judge for a traffic citation. Now, before we dive into what happened next, let me paint you a picture of Judge Frank Caprio. This isn't just any ordinary judge sitting behind that bench. We're talking about a man who's become an internet sensation for his perfect blend of compassion and no-nonsense attitude. He's the grandfather figure who can make you laugh one moment and teach you a life lesson the next. His courtroom has seen everything from tearful defendants who can't afford their fines to arrogant speedsters who think money solves everything. But this day was different. This day, Judge Caprio was about to face his most challenging defendant yet. The royal heir, let's call them Prince Privilege for privacy reasons, had been caught doing something that would make your jaw drop. We're not talking about a simple parking ticket or running a red light. No, this royal individual had been pulled over for driving 85 miles per hour in a 35-mile-per-hour zone right through a school zone during dismissal time. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. When the officer approached the vehicle, Prince Privilege actually had the audacity to hand over a diplomatic immunity card and demand to speak to the mayor. You can imagine the officer's reaction. Here's someone trained to deal with all kinds of situations, and suddenly they're being handed what essentially amounts to a get-out-of-jail-free card by someone who nearly endangered children leaving school. The whole interaction was captured on the officer's body camera, and let me tell you, it's both infuriating and fascinating to watch. So Prince Privilege gets their day in court, and they walk in with this attitude that screams, "I'm untouchable." They're dressed in what probably costs more than most people's cars, flanked by lawyers who look like they charge more per hour than teachers make in a month. The entourage includes what appears to be a personal assistant, a translator, even though they speak perfect English, and someone who I swear was just there to carry their designer handbag. Judge Caprio takes one look at this parade and you can see that little twinkle in his eye. You know the one. It's the same look your grandfather gets when he's about to drop some wisdom that'll stick with you forever. The judge calmly calls the case, and that's when things start getting interesting. Prince Privilege's lead attorney jumps up immediately, waving papers around like they're magic spells. He starts going on about diplomatic protocols and international law and how their client has special status that exempts them from local traffic regulations. The whole speech is delivered with this pompous tone that makes you want to roll your eyes so hard they fall out of your head. But here's where Judge Caprio shows why he's become such a beloved figure. Instead of getting flustered or intimidated, he just sits back in his chair with this patient smile and lets the lawyer finish their grand performance. The courtroom is dead silent except for the lawyer's voice echoing off the walls. Everyone's waiting to see how the judge will respond to what essentially amounts to, "My client is too important for your laws." When the lawyer finally stops talking, Judge Caprio leans forward slightly and asks one simple question that cuts through all the legal jargon like a hot knife through butter. Were there children present when your client was driving 85 in a 35 zone? The lawyer tries to deflect, talking about how that's not relevant to the matter of diplomatic immunity. But Judge Caprio isn't having any of it. He repeats his question, this time with a little more emphasis. Were there children present? You can see Prince Privilege shifting uncomfortably in their seat. For the first time since walking into that courtroom, they're realizing that their usual tactics might not work here. This isn't some social gathering where their title automatically opens doors and excuses behavior. This is Judge Caprio's courtroom, and he plays by different rules. The atmosphere in the room is getting tenser by the second. The royal entourage is whispering among themselves, probably trying to figure out their next move. The court reporter is typing away furiously, capturing every word of what's turning into an epic battle of wills. Even the bailiff looks like he's trying not to smile. That's when Judge Caprio delivers his first knockout punch. He looks directly at Prince Privilege, completely ignoring the lawyers and handlers, and says something that nobody in that courtroom will ever forget. His voice is calm but firm, with just the right amount of grandfatherly disappointment mixed in. "Your Honor," he begins, addressing himself in the third person in a way that somehow doesn't sound ridiculous, "has seen many people come through this courtroom. Rich people, poor people, famous people, unknown people. But you know what I've never seen? I've never seen someone's title protect a child from getting hurt by a reckless driver." The silence in the courtroom is deafening. You could hear a pin drop on the carpet. Prince Privilege is staring at the judge with this expression that's somewhere between shock and indignation. Their lawyers are frantically shuffling through papers, probably looking for some obscure law they can cite to get their client out of this increasingly uncomfortable situation. But Judge Caprio isn't done. He's just getting warmed up. He continues with this perfect blend of wisdom and wit that only he can deliver. Now, I don't know much about royal protocol, but I do know that putting children at risk isn't very princely behavior. In my courtroom, the only crown that matters is the one Lady Justice wears, and she's blind to everything except right and wrong. The courtroom erupts in barely contained reactions. You can hear people trying to stifle gasps and chuckles. The court reporter looks like she's having trouble keeping up because she's trying so hard not to laugh. Even some of the royal entourage are exchanging glances that suggest they know their boss just got schooled. Prince Privilege finally speaks up, and their response is exactly what you'd expect from someone who's never been told no in their entire life. They stand up dramatically, and I mean dramatically, like they're auditioning for a soap opera, and declare that they demand to speak to someone with authority who understands their position. This is the moment everyone was waiting for. Judge Caprio's response is so perfectly timed and brilliantly delivered that it instantly becomes the stuff of courtroom legend. He leans back in his chair, looks Prince Privilege right in the eye, and delivers the line that leaves everyone absolutely speechless. "Your Highness, I am someone with authority, and I understand your position perfectly. You're in the wrong, and in my courtroom that puts you in the same position as everyone else who endangers public safety. Guilty." The mic drop moment doesn't even need an actual mic. The silence that follows is so complete, you'd think someone had pressed a mute button on the entire courtroom. Prince Privilege's mouth is literally hanging open. Their legal team looks like they've just witnessed a magic trick they can't explain. The entourage is frozen in place like someone hit pause on a movie. But Judge Caprio still isn't finished dismantling this display of entitled behavior. He continues with a lecture that's part legal proceeding, part life lesson, and part masterclass in how to handle privileged people who think rules don't apply to them. He talks about responsibility, about the social contract that everyone in society agrees to follow, and about how true nobility comes from how you treat others, not from the circumstances of your birth. Every word is carefully chosen and perfectly delivered. He's not being mean or vindictive. That's not Judge Caprio's style. Instead, he's being educational in the most devastating way possible. He's treating Prince Privilege exactly like he would treat any other defendant, which is somehow both the most respectful and most humiliating thing he could do. The royal heir tries to interrupt several times, but Judge Caprio has mastered the art of the judicial pause. He just looks at them until they stop talking, then continues his point. It's like watching a masterclass in courtroom control. Finally, Judge Caprio announces his decision, and it's absolutely perfect in its simplicity and justice. He finds Prince Privilege guilty of reckless driving and sentences them to the maximum fine allowed by law plus community service at a local school crossing guard program. The poetic justice is beautiful. Someone who endangered school children now has to spend their time protecting them. But here's the kicker. He also orders that the community service must be completed without any entourage, handlers, or special accommodations. Prince Privilege will have to show up like any other community service worker and do the actual work themselves. The reaction in the courtroom is immediate and electric. You can feel the collective sense of justice being served. This is what people love about Judge Caprio. He treats everyone fairly, which means the privileged don't get special treatment, and those who need compassion receive it. Prince Privilege's legal team immediately announces their intention to appeal, which surprises absolutely nobody. But Judge Caprio has one final zinger ready. He tells them they're certainly welcome to appeal, but until a higher court overturns his decision, the sentence stands and the community service starts Monday morning at 7 a.m. sharp. As the royal entourage files out of the courtroom, clearly defeated and probably planning their next move, you can see Judge Caprio settling back into his chair with that satisfied smile that says, "Justice served." The other people waiting for their cases are buzzing with excitement about what they just witnessed. What makes this whole interaction so satisfying isn't just watching someone privileged get their comeuppance. It's seeing Judge Caprio demonstrate that in his courtroom everyone really is equal under the law. Whether you're a prince or a pauper, if you endanger public safety, you're going to face the consequences. The video of this courtroom exchange went viral within hours of being posted online. People from all over the world shared it as an example of what justice should look like. Comments poured in from viewers who were inspired by Judge Caprio's handling of the situation and his refusal to be intimidated by wealth, status, or threats of political pressure. This case perfectly exemplifies why Judge Caprio has become such a beloved figure in the world of courtroom justice. He combines wisdom, fairness, and just the right amount of humor to create moments that restore people's faith in the legal system. In a world where it often seems like the wealthy and powerful play by different rules, Judge Caprio's courtroom remains a place where justice is truly blind to everything except right and wrong.